Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started.
Hey, good morning, everybody out there in podcast land. And I'm Dave Martin. And
Glen Hayward, Goodworks Auto Repair.
Lee Weatherby, Accurate Automotive.
hey, guys, how's it going this morning?
Really fantastic. And you?
Yeah, really good, man. Things have been really
You're
good.
looking good, Dave.
Thank you, man.
You're glowing, man.
I'm glowing.
Yeah. You are.
I don't know about that.
I think he polished his head
It's the
this
light
morning.
and, who
It's
knows?
the light,
but-
yeah. I have to give all the credit to, my makeup artist.
Hey, they missed a spot.
Yeah, I know. No. Well, that's just a conversation starter.
It's a war wound, yeah.
Slip of the switchblade there.
Yeah.
I love it.
They can only do so much, Lee.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
yeah.
It's a lot of work making this stuff look good.
Listen, that's why every time I go in for a haircut, I
Yeah.
say the same thing.
Yeah.
They're going, "What do you want?" I go, "You know what? Brad Pitt. Make me look like Brad Pitt. Can you do that?" And they go,
I'm not a miracle
Yeah,
worker.
exactly.
Hairstylist.
I've heard that a time or two. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so you know what? One of the things we do on our segment is a day in history. And Glenn, Professor Glenn, we call him now.
Yeah.
Because
Professor.
we're trying to make him look a little bit better than,
Glen, he
trying to boost
really
his ego.
is, yeah.
You know what it is? It's because of the age that he is.
Oh, because he's old.
That's right.
Yeah, I like that, Lee. That was funny.
I hate these guys, but I still do podcasts with them. Well, today we're going to be talking about check engine lights, but before we get into that, we have a really cool thing. On this day in automotive history, March 3rd of 2018, the elusive 1967 Chevy Mustang GT500 prototype, known as Little Red, was rediscovered in a field in Texas. Now that's kind of weird, right? I mean, what were they doing? Plowing the field? And
It's gonna be
here's
fun.
this Mustang laying there. Anyway, Barrett Jackson, CEO Craig Jackson, got wind of this, and he found the car and meticulously restored it to its original supercharged state and unveiled it in 2020. Experts say that it is valued in the millions. Now think about that. That car maybe was $10,000 when it was brand new, and now it's valued in millions. So check out your fields, guys. You farmers out there, you might have some
Well,
treasure
back
out there.
in the day, they didn't think about any of these vehicles being worth millions of dollars. They were just
that
tools to our
To
field.
me, it's,
Hey,
it's
hey,
all
you
time.
guys,
To me,
come
it's
on.
still an unreality.
This is
How
the-
can you take something like that was $10,000 worth millions? I mean,
But here's the
beauty's
thing.
in the eye of the beholder, I guess, or in
Well,
the pocketbook.
But you know what? Think about there's lots of cars that would fit this category. But this, you guys, you do know that this is Eleanor, right? This is the '67 Shelby Mustang. You know, the GT500. You know, this is Eleanor. And I'll tell you what, to be able to take something like that, you know what I mean, and then have the resource, such as, Mr. Jackson.
Oh
does.
yeah, he's got a few bucks in the bank.
But I mean, to restore it and then to
Oh,
be able
I
to
can
present
imagine.
it.
I would have liked to
Wow.
know. I would have liked to know.
That's
what
kind of exciting.
I would like to know what it cost him to restore it.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
You know, in a lot of cases, it's more than what you're actually going to get out of it. But it's
Well, more
part of
than
the
the
love
car
of being
ever
able. to...
costs at retail. But
Yeah.
Well, no, absolutely. There's no doubt. It
talking about
definitely was
probably
that.
$150,000 at least.
Yeah. Well, but you know what I mean? Think about it. A few podcasts ago, at least at some point in time, we did one talking about Volkswagens. And I mean, how much does it cost to restore some of those buses and stuff like that? We did one a few years back that, I mean, it was $70,000 to restore it.
Do you ever watch the Barrett Jackson auction and what those cars
I
are
do.
going for?
I do.
It's insane.
I do.
And you look
It's-
at those cars and you're just like, oh my goodness. And they were, and it was really funny if you're old enough to remember when they bought those cars and what those cars went for. And we used to work on those cars. Customers would drive them in the shop, and it was just a car. It was like it wasn't $1 million car. It was a regular car.
You know what? It's once again.
Now you're scared to work on them because they are worth millions. They're coming with this $1 million car. It's like,
I got a friend of mine that restores.
I got me
the
some tools,
Broncos.
man. Let me at it. I want to play with it.
I got a friend of mine. He's got an old Bronco. He restores the old Broncos, and I can't even believe what those things are going for. Those, the 60s, 70s Broncos, the small ones. Those things are. And when I was in high school, I had 4 or 5 friends that had them, and they drove them all over the place. You know, they drove them off road and beat them up and did all this stuff. And now these vehicles, they're going for 80, 90, 150. I mean, it's amazing the money that's going.
The thing of it is, though, but I will say this: some of the quality of care that goes into some of these cars that are being restored is pretty amazing.
Oh,
I mean, you look at some of the workmanship. You know what I mean? There is really some very, very good workmanship. It's artistry, really.
Craftsmanship, actually. It's beyond workmanship. It's craftsmanship.
Nowadays, we just replace everything that bends or breaks or whatever. Back then, they fixed it, straightened it, and fixed it.
Modified, made their own stuff. Reconfigured. You know what I mean, to make it actually function the way that you wanted it to work.
Cut something out, weld something in there, and sand it all down. And it's total workmanship.
It's car knuckleheads that would appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah, car
Lee, you've got a quote of the day. Quote of the day.
I do, and you know what? Like I say,
lay it on us there.
I know that we're going to be talking about check engine lights, and I think that this is really apropos, but it is a good thing to learn caution from the misfortunes of others. I think that that really holds true. We can look at what is happening to other people sometimes and go, "Whoa, I don't want that to happen to me."
Well, and to your point now, 38% of the drivers say they have ignored a warning light on their dashboard for more than 2 weeks. So to your point, that's exactly what the end result of that usually is not that good. Yeah. It's usually a problem. The more you ignore it, it's one of those things. Every time you go to start your car, you're just praying that light goes out, but it doesn't. You know, and you have to be proactive. And the more proactive you are, the better the outcome is going to be. And also, too, in most cases, the cheaper it's going to be, and the less expensive it's going to be. It's not going to cost you.
That's the whole point right there.
Yeah, the caveat in there is that your check engine light comes on. It doesn't tell you how many different things are wrong.
Yeah.
You just say, "Oh, I got something wrong with my car." By the time the time lapses that Dave mentioned, it can be weeks or months. You may have 5 or 6 or 8 codes going on, and at some point, the light's going to start flashing. It's like, okay, you've tipped the iceberg over, and now
you shouldn't drive it.
Well, see, so here's the interesting thing, and I want to go right to that point right there. We had a customer, this is last week, that got a call on the telephone. She says, "Lee, I got a problem." I go, "Okay, what's going on?" She goes, "Hey, my light in my car is flashing." I go, "Which light is it?" She goes, "It's one that looks like a little motor." It's yellow and it's just flashing. She goes, "My car's running terrible." She goes, "What do I do?" I go, "Pull over." She goes, "Oh, wow." She goes, "Can I just make it to you?" I go, "No, pull over." And she goes, "Why?" So I told her, and I tried to explain this. I said, "Look, the way that the lights work in a car, okay, a green light, you know what I mean? It's funny, but green light usually means go. Some people treat it like faster, you know what I mean? Go faster, all right? Yellow lights, what does that mean?
For it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Go a little faster. Make that, you know what I mean? But what it really means is caution, you know what I mean? And then like a red light, you know what I mean? It means stop, but and that's when it's florid. Florid, you know?
Well, originally the check engine lights in cars were red. They would light up red.
Right.
And then I guess to not put fear in the hearts and despair in the hearts of the drivers, they changed it to yellow.
Well, they changed it to yellow because really it is a cautionary tale that they're trying to tell.
Until it starts flashing.
So that what happens. But that's what I want to talk about, all right? When a light flashes, okay, because in cars, they can't change the color. You know what I mean? It'd be very difficult to change the color because of the way the dashes are configured. You know what I mean? Even in the digital dashes and everything else that we have. Yeah. But what they do, it's kind of like we have at a railroad crossing or a Pedzing crossing or something like that, you know what I mean, where they push it to cross the street and all of a sudden you get the flashing yellows and then you get a flashing red, right? What happens is whenever a check engine light is on in your vehicle, and you don't really feel anything going on, that's when people are usually taking 2 and 3 weeks, a month, 4 months, you know what I mean, get it in. But when it flashes, all of a sudden it becomes an alert, a visual reminder that you have something going on. And generally there's a feeling, like you were talking about in a previous podcast, people start to all of a sudden imagine, wow, I'm feeling this or I'm feeling that. And in most cases, it's reality.
True, yeah.
You know what I mean? But the flashing light now on a yellow needs to be treated like a red light. Yep. It needs to be treated like a stop immediately, because what it means is, And if you look at the terminology they use, it's doing detrimental damage to the catalytic converter or other components of the vehicle.
Exactly.
And
that is a biggie.
And you go, okay, so what's happening is the car is in failure mode and it's trying to tell you and help you not get out of harm's way.
Right.
So in order to get out of harm's way, pull it over.
Let's throw some numbers out there. How much is a catalytic converter on? What do they range? What's the range today? Minimum.
Anywhere from say $1,000 to $7,000.
Yeah, for a catalytic converter, because you, the consumer, were watching that light flash, or just like when the light first came on, it was telling you you got oxygen sensors on your exhaust system that are monitoring the catalytic converters.
Raw fuel going down in there.
Either if they're getting bad data, they're dead, or there's no data that the computer's picking up. You're starting to clog up that catalytic converter. It looks like a muffler. If you don't know what it is for our listeners out there, it looks like a muffler.
Yeah.
And 6-cylinder cars have 2, 4-cylinder cars have 1, but a lot of them have a cleanup cat after that. So you have a main cat, then you got a cleanup cat to meet the
some vehicles have 4 catalytic converters.
The EPA standard. So the bottom line is when these catalytic converters aren't functioning properly, it doesn't reduce the amount of emissions coming out of your pipes. So eventually it's going to start clogging. Next thing you know, you can't clean a catalytic converter. I don't care what anybody says out there. You have to replace them. Unless it just barely started to do it. There are some catalytic converter cleaners that can be added to
some
your
of the
gas.
diesels. Some of the diesels you can actually flush.
And even some of the gasoline. I mean, there's some products out there, but if it's over that threshold where it's too late.
Well, it depends how far they drove it, to your point.
Yeah.
It's exactly right.
People months and months ignoring this thing, and I'm not due for emissions yet. I'll get it fixed. I had it looked at before.
No.
And my emissions aren't due for another 6 or 8 months. So you just keep driving the car because it seems to be driving okay.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's all of this stuff going on in the background. And we're not saying this to scare you. We're trying to enlighten you to make sure that you get this stuff looked at before it becomes a catastrophic, not only failure, but a catastrophic cost to your budget.
Well, what I'd like to really say, if I could, real quick, not to cut you off, but let's just talk about the origin of the check engine light. What it really is indicating is that a check engine light is basically telling you that you have something in your emission system. Okay, that's the way they label it, in your emission system that can be creating a failure. Now, they are very loose or general in that emission system evaluation. It could be engine, could be transmission, could be fuel vapors, you know what I mean? Could be runability or drivability type things, you know what I mean? It could have to do with cooling of the vehicle, you know what I mean? The cooling system. Mm-hmm. So it's a
car getting up to operating
it's a very broad range of things that are covered.
And that's a really good point. One thing I wanted to throw out there, we just did a car that had a misfire.
Yeah.
And the customer drove it, and the light was flashing. Finally, it started flashing, and they didn't stop.
They didn't heed the warning.
And so they ended up destroying the converter. And it was a $1,500 extra repair on top of fixing the misfire that didn't need to happen. So it's very...
What was the underlying cause? Was it a coil or a spark plug? Or
It was a coil.
A coil.
Yeah.
A simple coil probably would have cost maybe $150 to diagnose and fix or whatever out the door. And now they're spending how much on the catalytic converter?
Oh, another
$1,500 plus.
Another $1,500.
1,500 clams.
And to your
that's
point,
only 10 times more.
And to your point, there's things that gas cap can cause a check engine light to come on.
Absolutely.
The gas cap.
Evaporative emissions.
If you go out there, if you went out there and you got fuel, and you put fuel in your car and you drove it out of there and that check engine light came on shortly after that, that would be the first thing that I would probably test. If there's nothing else going on that you're feeling anything else. But sometimes perception a little bit, when they get a check engine light coming on, perception is people start getting more in tune. They turn their radio down. They start listening. They start getting more in tune with the vehicle.
They really do.
And then what happens is they start feeling things that they never felt before, but they've been there all along.
Right.
But they never paid attention until that light came on.
But you know what, Dave? I think that's to your point, I think that's a really great thing, because I'm going to liken it to a telephone. You know what I mean? Our phones buzz all day long. And you see this
potential spam 50 times a day.
Yeah, but you see this every single day. People are, doing this. Even while you're driving, sometimes you're looking at this, you're going, yeah, he's paying attention to the road, right? Well, the key to it is get a text. You get something every time. It's an alert. All these check engine lights is an alert from your car, a visual reminder that, hey, you need to get this in. Because the key to it is just to your point, let's call it a $300-400 repair. You took something minor and you created a major problem by ignorance. And what I mean by ignorance is not that you're ignorant. It means that you ignored the problem until it became a larger issue.
You didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know what you didn't know.
Yeah.
And the hard part about that is we have it in us. It's kind of inbred in all of us humans. Procrastination. You know what I mean?
Well, we're busy.
I'll get to it.
Life is busy, man.
But the thing of it is, we are wasteful. The problem is we're wasteful, and we got to stop. Because we have to become a little bit more conditioned to start appreciating, because the people that you're talking about, okay, that are starting to go, ooh, I feel this, or wow, this is a little bit different. What happens is they like to take care of their things. They like to make sure that they can preserve their stuff, you know what I mean, and keep it going for a long time. Because a lot of times when we interview and talk to our customers at the counter, they'll tell us, how long would you like to keep your car? Are you going to keep this for a week, a month, a day, a year, 10 years, never getting rid of it? And a lot of them say, I'm never getting rid of it. You know what? Those same people are the ones that when there's an issue or a problem, they're a little bit more diligent about getting it in, on the immediate. Whereas some that are going to keep it for a short period of time and inevitably have it for 5 or 6 years, those are the ones that, it'll be okay. So it might go away.
Well, you know what's funny about that? There's a joke around my shop that we get customers come in and say, I'm going to get rid of this car the next year. In the next year.
4 years later, you're servicing it.
It happens all the time. It's because,
they do have to try to convince us that we don't want to find anything because they're going to get rid of it. So don't bother doing your whole routine and checking it out, because I'm getting rid of this car next week anyway. Like you said, 4 years later, it's still there. So
I'm hoping to be able to be rid myself of this vehicle in the next little while.
Well, life changes, and then you don't know. You don't know.
They may be broke next week or next month. Something catastrophic happens. Someone gets cancer in their family, and all of a sudden, all their money is funneling into.
Man, don't throw that out there.
Yeah,
man, it's brutal.
Life happens.
You can talk about health issues. Just don't get too specific.
Yeah. Well, since you brought that up,
Grandma falls and breaks her leg. And,
don't reward that.
This podcast just went down really fast.
Holy cow! I thought we were being educational.
But the positive side to what he said was, and you said this in the previous podcast, equate your health to your car. How we procrastinate our own health.
You bet.
And so if we will procrastinate with our own health, we're definitely going to do it with our car. Let's face it, right?
There's no question. But the thing of it is, and I'm gonna throw this out there and even look at it from a different perspective, and that is, what is the largest investment that most of us make, in our lifetime? Generally, our home.
Your home.
Right? And when something goes wrong in the home, we're usually a little bit more Johnny proactive. You know what I mean? We're usually a little bit more diligent about getting it fixed. We hear a leak, or we feel something, or it's not cold, or whatever the case may be. We're standing in the kitchen and the tiles feel like they're warm or whatever. We're generally prone to being a little bit more sensitive and getting that addressed, because why? We've learned
investment.
It's big. Whatever that is, that's going to cost.
And big expense.
What's the second largest investment? Usually most of us make
automotive.
Our car.
College.
So why does that get, good point, Glenn.
More than that spend on your house.
Okay, so let's third.
Let's say college first, then your home. And,
I was going to say about the home, though, if you have kids, you always come home and you find out things happen around the house and you don't know how they happen. Yeah. Nobody knows. Why did this get broken?
Nobody lives at your house, too?
Yeah. It's hilarious. I come home and I'm like, when my daughter was there, and I was like, okay, so how did this happen? I don't know.
Does anybody know? No.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. We were all just
nobody wants Dan to be mad.
That's right.
We were all just sitting around getting a buzz, and suddenly this happened. We don't know how it happened. Yeah.
It's like, who's on first? No, where's he at? No, he's on second.
But to Glen's point, he's right. College is more expensive than another car.
Well, like I say,
what people spend to get a bad education. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, we spend good fair amount of money. I mean, I think we did a podcast last year at some point in time. We talked about the cost of cars. You know what I mean? The average cost, I think, was somewhere in the $50,000 range. As an average cost, that's a lot of money.
I think the average is 45 to 50,000. Yeah, so it's still pretty much right around there.
And
by next year, it'll be 50.
But even used cars, you know what I mean, were somewhere over 20.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And that's
22, yeah.
I got a friend that's got a dealership, and he sells used and new cars. I can't even talk. And he says a $5,000 car is a needle in a haystack, first of all. But if you do find one, and they just pulled it out of a junkyard because that car is going to need a lot of work. $5,000 car anymore. But you know how many $5,000 cars did we buy?
Yeah.
That didn't need a lot of work. They needed some.
Yeah.
But now they need an engine, a transmission, or whatever. So and really, it's gotten to the point now where a $10,000 car still need to put a little bit of money into it.
You do.
But so to your point, cars have gotten so much more expensive, but you look at the new ones, it's like, oh my goodness, it's crazy.
I guess, and the point is, when it comes to the warning lights and the things that are literally, I mean, there's some things. I guess the thing I would do is flip this on its head and say, what about the things that are deteriorating or depreciating that don't turn lights on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how important and vital is it for those things to be inspected and checked onto routine?
It's
You know
vital.
what I mean?
It's vital every time you come in because you might hit a pothole.
Amen.
In the road, or the same pothole every day because the city hasn't fixed it yet.
Yeah.
And over a period of weeks or something, now you need a ball joint or a suspension component that you didn't need.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, I look at
Road
it.
construction all over the place.
What danger is lurking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we have these lights that are turning on, particularly in this case with check engine lights, there's lurking danger. And so the thing of it is, let's get them in and get it addressed because in a lot of cases, you know what I mean? There's things that can be literally, to your point, the gas cap, little things.
Little things. And so it doesn't always mean that, and that's another thing. I want to throw that out there. Just because the check engine light is on doesn't mean that's going to cost you thousands of dollars.
That's exactly the point.
Because
it doesn't have to.
We're scaring the bejesus out of people, and
in most
we
cases
don't want to do
isn't.
that. Right.
And you said 50,000. And our producer just sent me that the average new car is right around 50,000 as of 2025.
Wow.
And then the used cars.
Yeah, last time we talked about it was only like 47.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
So $26,000 used cars.
Yeah.
So that's just
you guys. I still bend over and pick up pennies and nickels and dimes when I see them on the ground. I do. And you know what?
Who helps you up?
My wife and I bought our first house 30 years ago.
I married a quality lady.
30-some years ago, and it was $46,000.
Wow.
Well,
but this is like picking up pennies. When that light comes on, and all I do is, turn and go into the service station. It's funny because some of the newer cars, they have OnStar and everything else. The computer comes on. Hey, your check engine light's on. You need to go into here.
I want to say something else too, that certain vehicles out there, when that check engine light comes on, it sets off a tracking light.
It does.
Or it sets off another light.
It does.
And so
tandem lights.
Companion. But pretty soon you got a Christmas tree going on in your dash, and you're like, what the heck is going on here?
And do you know why they do that? Just for the reason that they're trying to get you to pay attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That something is going on.
Well,
how many times do people call and say, hey, my track light's on? And you go, is the check engine light on too? Yeah. Which one came on first? I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, they don't know. But you know what? Wait until AI comes along, and pretty soon there'll be a voice on there telling you, hey, stop.
Hey, stupid.
Do not go any farther.
Get to your service center quickly.
Yeah, or just, done. You're stopped.
Either you turn it off or I will.
And then, we didn't discuss any of this because we're running out of time here. We got about 5 minutes left, and I just want to throw a couple things out there. As far as the check engine lights, we'll wrap that up. Is the most important thing is that if that thing's flashing, you need to get off safely, pull over safely, get off the road, shut that thing down, and then call your service provider. And always definitely ask questions to your service advisor. Or whenever you call them up. Hey, my car's doing this. When that light first comes on, we're going to ask you questions, and we always do this. Did you just get fuel?
Yeah.
Is it flashing?
Right.
And those things. And we'll tell you, hey, you know what? You'll be okay. Or get it in tomorrow, or get it in right away, or I'm sitting in the tow truck right now.
That's right.
And we want to help you with those things because we don't want to have to do a bunch of
We don't want to take
catastrophic damage.
That's
to the
right.
vehicle.
We don't want to take a $40 repair and make it, $4,000.
Right.
No.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and there are certain things you can smell or that you can see.
Good point.
When you come to a stop
Good
and you
point.
see smoke, vapor, something coming out from underneath the hood of your car,
Stop, for heaven's
you
sakes,
need to
please
stop,
stop.
pull over, find out what's going
And
on.
don't, you know what? And to that point, if you do see smoke or something like that from under the hood anytime, please do this. Please just hear me. Don't open the hood. Don't go and open the hood. That's not what you do. That's inviting, more oxygen and everything else to fuel that thing. Don't do it.
I was at a.
It depends on if it's steam or if it smells like fuel or something.
And if you're that good and can know the difference,
Yeah.
amen.
But another thing that's changed with the nomenclature, the makeup of the way they make cars, most of the fuel tanks are underneath the back seat.
Yeah.
And if you start smelling gas inside it, and some people say, oh yeah, I've been smelling this for a couple of months now. The reason why they start leaking the way they do is because all the fuel pumps now are plastic.
They crack.
They crack.
Yeah.
The pressure that they're under and everything, they make them as cheap as they can. Unfortunately, most fuel pumps are failing before the car hits 50, 60, 70, even 100,000 miles.
Yeah.
The pump cracks and then
Yeah.
it starts just seeping a little bit of gas. Then as it cracks more, it'll start squirting gas. And you got your kids in the back seat, you're in the car, something could spark and ignite a fire. And if it's right by the gas tank, the whole thing's going up in a ball of flames.
And to your point, and both of your points on that is you want to be safe, number one. I was at a fast food restaurant and I was going inside and I pulled up in there and I looked over and there was a vehicle. Smoke was coming out from underneath the hood of the vehicle. Well, I heard the lady talking to her husband on the phone saying, hey, I think the car's overheating. Well, the car was on fire.
Oh, my.
It wasn't overheating. It wasn't steam. It was smoke.
Yeah.
And so I said, ma'am, you need to get off the phone with your husband and call the fire department because this car's on fire.
Right.
And so to your point, that's exactly the thing that is very important.
Right.
That you don't open that hood because like you said, once you add oxygen to it, that thing is just going to be a tower inferno. It's going to go fast.
And there's technical service bulletins, even warnings and recalls from car manufacturers who are using that same kind of plastic feed hoses up to the engine.
You bet.
And, I won't mention, there's a couple, Hyundai and Kia, for one, have said, and they've said they give you the hose and everything. I mean, you need to take it to a dealer and they'll do it for free. But a lot of customers say, you know what, the backup on this thing, I don't want to wait. We can get the part and fix it. And it'll cost them a little bit of money. But, the bottom line is that they're sending stuff out to your house. Oh, they're trying to sell me a new car. No, maybe they're trying to warn you about something.
And let's call it right there. Warning lights. Let's pay attention to the warning lights.
Right.
Your dash is there. The warning lights are put in, and they're put in for your convenience, but really they're put in for your safety. Right. And let's break it down to the simplest form. If you see something that's on the dash, even if it's something that you're unaware of, don't hesitate to call. We're available. You know what I mean? We're available.
What, and I was just going to say one other thing, Lee. The thing of it is if you get a newer car and you're not familiar with what those lights, when you turn that key and just in the on position, all of them are going to light up.
Bingo.
Okay, and you want to make sure that they all do light up. Because we didn't say that. Because sometimes what happens is if you buy a used vehicle and somebody takes the bulb out or puts a piece of tape over the top of it and you don't notice it, that engine light's never going to come on.
That's right.
So it's gonna be on, but you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
So the point is that you want to make sure that thing lights up when you turn the key in the on position.
Yeah.
And then go to your service provider and ask them. Say, hey, what does this light mean? What does that light mean? What and go down and just have an idea of what those lights really mean. And it's in your owner's manual.
It is. But we've got time to explain it.
Yeah, right. We can explain it to you. So hey guys. It's been another great podcast, and I'm glad we had an opportunity to do this because I know we do get a lot of questions on check engine lights. People don't understand it, and sometimes it's catastrophic and it costs them a lot more money, and it's just it's a lot harder process when we do that. So
it pays to pay attention.
It pays to pay attention.
Indeed.
I like that.
Thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Good.
Happy.
Bye-bye.